After World War II, during the Cold War era, another war broke out in 1954, this time in Vietnam. The war was an indirect conflict between the US and the Soviet Union. First of all, there were 5 countries who played major roles in starting and fighting the war: Japan, the United States, France, North and South Vietnam, and finally the Soviet Union. The communist movement started after the end of World War II, and the Soviet Union was converting many countries to communism, and that is the root of the war. Communism refers to a society where property is publicly owned and no one has less than they need or more. Everyone gets paid based on their abilities and their needs. Japan had occupied Vietnam during the Communist Revolution. Ho Chi Minh had created a Vietnamese nationalist movement and had also started a war against Japan with the support of the United States. The French had defeated Japan in World War II, and therefore they had tried to retake their colony when the war had ended. Between the French and the Vietnamese, there had been many negotiations made, but none were ever carried through, thus resulting in the French forcibly entering the capital of Vietnam in December of 1964. The war against North and South Vietnam began with the French supporting Emperor Bao Da within South Vietnam. The South did not want to join the North in communism. Originally, the United States had paid very little attention to Vietnam. The reason they began paying attention was in fear of the communist movement. They did not believe that it could be stopped. They believed it could only be contained. When we take a step back and look at the reasons behind the war in Vietnam, it all goes back to communism. The North wanted Vietnam as a whole to become a communist country like the Soviet Union and China, whereas the South wanted to stay more like their allies, the United States and France. Had the Soviet Union not tried to convert everyone to communism, the War of Vietnam might have been avoided.
Created using Powtoon.